Chamber of Commerce in Egypt, and I'm also a banker by profession.
I'm Dalia Wahba. I am Vice President for Membership at the American Chamber of Commerce. I sit on the association. I'm a private entrepreneur that is working in business and marketing consulting for international companies operating in Egypt, as well as for international organizations.
My name is Hisham Fahmy. I'm the CEO of the American Chamber of Commerce in Egypt and member of the Egypt-US Business Council.
I'm here in DC this week as part of the Door Knock delegation of AmCham, and it is to connect with Congress, the Senate, think tanks, to communicate the business aspirations and concerns about US-Egyptian relations.
I've been part of the business delegation of 25 businessmen and women who come every few months to Washington to engage with the different think tanks, policymakers, administration, as well as the Hill, to give the picture about Egypt, a real picture from the ground, and how Egypt is operating at the economic as well as the political front.
We've been in DC in a joint delegation between the American Chamber of Commerce in Egypt, AmCham Egypt, and the Egypt-US Business Council. We're here really to talk with our friends in the United States. We're carrying a message of hope from the private sector about the Egyptian economy and where it's going, and how we can help move that forward, and how the private sector, with our partners in the United States, can help push the democratic process forward in Egypt and to have a prosperous Egypt in the future.
The present economic and political situation in Egypt is, economically, there's been a slight improvement, definitely, since the 30th of June last year. To start with, Egypt has received foreign aid from its Arab neighbors, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and United Arab Emirates, about $12 billion, which helped the foreign currency reserve situation. There is a slight pickup in economic activity with the stability that's been felt in the country, or relative stability that's been felt in the country. And so we're seeing the data gathering and the fact-finding of Arab and Asian investors increased in the last few months. And there's a whole list of very serious projects that the government is now putting in the market, the most important of which obviously is the Suez Canal zone. And there's lots of other infrastructure projects as part of the stimulus package, but also a lot of private sector interest in energy, in food and beverage, in construction and real estate. So there's a definite pickup. Exports have increased. Workers' remittances are holding up very well. And so yes, there is improvement. Politically, the vast majority of the country is enjoying the stability, the relative stability compared to the prior year. And there is a very strong sense of optimism and hope in the future.
As you may know, Egypt has been going through a transition for the last 3 years after a huge economic growth, where it created a lot of political turmoil during the last 3 years. This transition has created a lot of turmoil. And at the economic front, it has been suffering a lot throughout the last 3 years because of the political transition and change that has been going on in the country. However, today we are moving on with a new vision for for a better economic conditions, hopefully in the future as we move on.
The economic and political situation in Egypt differs. The political situation has been in upheaval for the last 3 years. We think we're now on a road to a more stable country. We're on the road to a roadmap that hopefully will have a democratic elected president and parliament. So we believe that the political stability is important, and it's important for the economic stability and prosperity of Egypt. On the economics, strangely enough, our companies and the chamber have done quite well, or reasonably well, let's put it that way, relatively well, over the last 3 years. All the US companies that have already invested in Egypt are doing reasonably well. They're all growing, and they're reinvesting in Egypt. So this is a message we're bringing, that Egypt is open for business. And having a prosperous country and economically viable country is the best way to have a democratic country. So we feel that although the United States and Egypt are talking a lot politically, we think that we should be concentrating more on the economic side and how we can engage each other in trade and investment that will make Egypt more prosperous.
I think it's going to be a very stabilizing year for Egypt, because first we started the year with the referendum on the constitution, and it passed with an overwhelming 98% approval rating. It may seem high, but it was those who really wanted the constitution to pass. The turnout was terrific, the highest ever. Women led the charge. 56% of the voters were women. And so that was in January. And then come April, there will be the presidential elections. And then by the end of June, there will be the parliamentary elections. So by the end of the first half of the year, we will have restored all our political institutions. And then we will have a permanent government, and then it will provide a lot more stability. So it's kind of a stabilizing and a consolidation year.
Of the bottleneck that we have been in for the last 3 years, we have a roadmap ahead of us, a political roadmap ahead of us, which we're hopeful to give us the kickoff for a good economic story moving forward. And so the 2014 will be the sort of the year where we're hoping that things will move on slowly but surely at the political front, which will help the economic situation to improve so that we can kick off the growth beyond 2014.
I think 2014 will be a test case for Egypt, especially politically. But I think that the politics of electing a president and having a viable parliament, this will go very far towards making Egypt a prosperous country.
The biggest challenges are the very heavy bureaucracy, and the ease of doing business is not there. And so the logistics facilities also are lacking. So these are the main challenges. It takes a long time to get permits and approvals, and so there's a very heavy bureaucracy. The opportunities, of course, this is the most populous Arab country, 90 million people, so you have a lot of consumers. It's a very deep market. It's also the one that has a lot of influence over all its neighbors. And from a business standpoint, Egypt has a lot of potential, and it has a lot of natural resources that remain untapped. And so there's a lot of opportunities there around those areas.
The Egyptian business case has a lot of very good fundamentals for growth. Okay? Egypt, from an opportunity point of view, has really the basics and the fundamentals for a good business environment. It has the human capital, which is a market of 90 million people, and with a lot of intellectual power, brain power. It has the location, which is between, like on the Red Sea and then on the Mediterranean, very close to the European market, to the African market, to the Asian market. It has the weather, it has outstanding sources of energies and natural resources, a lot of cultural heritage. So it has a lot of opportunities for different industries. Okay, if you call it tourism, you call it services, you call it agribusiness for the climate, and you call it energy for the solar power and wind power in Egypt. So there are a lot of opportunities from a business and investments point of view. The challenge is, of course, due to what has been going on for the last few years, we have a very high rate of unemployment, which is this is quite a challenge and with a population that has a very high composition of young people. We need to move quickly, with the pace of change and turning to the level of growth that will help to create employment. So this is really one of the biggest challenges that we will be facing as a country. The other challenge will be, of course, security, due to, again, as an outcome of what has been going on. It needs to be put under control in order to help this business and economic development to really happen and help us move forward.
Again, we go back to the security situation. I think that's the biggest challenge at the moment for companies working in Egypt. There are obviously logistical challenges, bureaucratic challenges, and so on. But these we know how to solve, and I think that is an opportunity. Once these hurdles we get over, I think the opportunities are massive in many sectors. Obviously, the very obvious one is tourism. Once stability comes back to Egypt, tourism will come back, and it's a big part of GDP of Egypt, especially for employment of our youth, which is a major concern.